What's going on, YouTube? I'm back with another video. Title of the video is going to be something along the lines of hopelessness, something like that. But I just want to get into it. No chit-chatting. All right, so we have the problem, right? When you wake up and you start getting enlightened, so let's be honest though. Enlightenment only can start from trauma. You have to. So let's really break it down. I'm really gonna be talking in this video. So your spirit and your physical are two separate beings, right? So your spirit, your spirit takes on the dark side of what's happening in life. That's why you live subconsciously, right? You live subconsciously, which makes you do conscious actions, right? But it's not even really conscious, right? Because it's subconscious and it comes to the front. So, like I said in the one video, if you're sad and you're thinking about the past, well, all your actions are stored in your subconscious to whatever happened, aka your subconscious or spirit, whatever happened to it. You haven't moved forward, you haven't processed it, so you're gonna make all decisions based on that, right? So let's go for that. You deal with some trauma, right? I'm not saying anything anybody doesn't know, but I'm saying this to say about the bigger picture of things, so we're just gonna start small. So you go through stuff and you dissociate. You put it all off. You don't even deal with it. But when your spirit, and when you have a really strong spirit who wants you to incorporate it and doesn't want to be thrown to the side, right? Wants you to go through the things, wants to wake you up. So the first step to waking you up is conspiracies. And this is why I said, I'm off the conspiracy wave in a sense, because they all come from the same root of something, right? So you wake up and you're like, conspiracies are good because, well, the truth is they're distracting you from the trauma, right? Because you're like, wow, I'm learning the reality about the world and how evil it is. Well, why is that so interesting to you? Because you've got damage and it hurt your spiritual side, and you think the world is evil because you got hurt, right? So then you get to the bottom of the level one, right? And you realize, wait, all the conspiracies are just like nonstop, intertwining. Like this connects with this. 4,000 billion conspiracies all relate to each other. How is that possible? Unless we was in a simulation, but that's another day, right? So somehow when an event happens, right now, for example, an event happens, a car crash, there's 50 conspiracies created from that car crash. Somebody said the KGB drove that car crash. That truck into that truck, and that in the car that got hit was actually one of the federal prime ministers of this. And then these, how does that happen? How can that possibly happen in a real reality? But anyway, you realize that conspiracies are a goose chase, right? Or whatever the heck, a witch hunt. Then you get to level 2. Level 2 is, I need to start taking care of myself. Because I'm realizing level 1 is evil. The world's evil. So I need to start taking care of myself. I'm going to start going to therapy. But this is the thing with level 2 people. They go to therapy to show they're better than others. They don't really actually do the work. I know people who've been going to therapy for years. And then I remember I told them a story about themselves. Because they were like, open. We were having an honest conversation. I was like, damn, so your therapist told you about this, about yourself? They were like, no. I said, you've been going to your therapist for this many years. They didn't tell that about you? The fuck are they doing? Because at the end of the day, therapy, they don't want to lose a patient. They don't lose a bag. They can't ever be fully honest with you. Right? They can't. So anyway, you start doing therapy. You start eating healthier. You start working out. But it's all for vanity. Because level 1 is... So how your shadow self works, how your spiritual side works is... how the things are entwined, I'm talking to you, is the world fucked me up. So I'm going to come back at you harder. So how that gets in turned is I'm going to learn all the knowledge, right? You're going to learn this knowledge. You're better than somebody. I'm smarter than you, right? I'm going to work out. I'm going to go therapy. I'm fucking working on myself. I look better than you, right? Superficial level. That's level 2. Then you get to level 3. And level 3 is, I've been working out. I'm financially successful. And I'm fucking miserable. What the hell is going on? I did all the things. I'm doing it all. I did it all. Why am I still not feeling great? Then your spirit pokes its head. Spirit pokes its head and says, hey, you forgot about me. It's kind of because you did all that without me. So, like, of course you're going to feel like you abandoned somebody because you didn't incorporate me in your life, even though I'm you. You can't go your whole life being an empty vessel, or somebody will use you. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that, you abandon your spiritual self. Other people notice that. I'm talking about other people who are on a high enough frequency. They know that you abandoned your spiritual self. They'll go right in you. They'll say, oh, that's a host. I'll take his body. What do you think all that stuff, all those movies about, see that, my little tangents, but, those alien movies that, they take over the human's body. They show you in a more grotesque way of like, oh, look. They're going to take over your skin and go in your body. Or they're going to infect in your system. They're going to go through the water. No. They remove the spirit. And they can go into your body. And that's why the most enlightened individuals go through the most trauma. And it's also targeted. You're a targeted individual. You go through it. It's not a coincidence that listen, this is another tangent, but you really think all the people who go through the most trauma are some of the most enlightened, and you think that's a coincidence? But at the same time, you believe everything. Come on, man. Like, wake up a little bit. You're targeted. It's not that hard. People always want to talk about they believe in these crazy conspiracies, but then when you tell them the real conspiracy is that, you enter the system, you enter the database, right? You enter the system, and you're targeted right off rip. But get this. What I just said sounds crazy, but they'll watch movies like The Matrix. And see Neo was targeted his whole life and be like, yeah, Matrix is so real. They just told you Neo was targeted his whole life. Did you not understand that subtly? That's the whole point. They've been new. They said, Neo, we trying to get you out of here. They've been targeting you. That's what happens to you right now. It's happening to us right now. People want to act like they're not targeted because you know why? Then we get to, like I said, the level 3. Get to level 3. All that shit ain't working. Your spiritual self goes. But let's be honest. This is like some Naruto. If you've ever seen Naruto or any anime or any book where the character finally gets to the 3rd stage, they realize their place in the universe because their spirit's like, yo, we're fucking this. We're goated out here. But your spirit, since you abandoned them for so long in the darkness, right? That's why they call it your shadow side. It's all different terms for AKA spirit. And you're since you haven't helped your spirit, it feels like when you enter it, it feels like like you're in the ocean with no life vest. You're just like, and you're in the dark, and you're just like, where the fuck do I begin? Where do I go? How do I help myself? It's just dark everywhere. So then you're hopeless. You give up, and then you give up on everything you just did. You hit the wall, right? But how do we overcome that? Right? How do we overcome this feeling? Because we already know finances aren't going to work. We already know social, marital isn't going to work. What do? You need to lean into who you are 100%. You need to lean into that persona that you created that made you. But this time, You incorporate your shadow self. So you do the work. You go through the trauma. You have some life-altering, traumatic experiences. You learn about what makes you tick. You learn about what makes you. You learn about what makes you happy. You learn about what makes you sad. You learn about why you get triggered on certain things. You learn about all the emotions connected to your being. You learn about what makes you drive, right? What makes you stop, and why does it make you stop? Like, why do you want to give up in certain moments? Is it because every time you went to your parents with a new idea, they shut you down? So in life, when you go and you think you can do things, you already are prepared mentally to get shut down by somebody? Or that happened to you and your parents always told you to be an overachiever and you ended up being an underachiever? So you got to learn about all that stuff on yourself. Like, why am I acting the way I am? Why do I respond to things I am? You do all that work. And then this is the problem. Hold on. See, this is contrary to belief. You're going to get to that point and you're going to be like, damn, man, I'm enlightened. I fucking know how I tick. I still got, and you're intact, and you don't get on your holier than now. You know why? This is when you lean into who you are. Because after you learned all that stuff about yourself, it's the truth. You might not like parts of yourself. And this is where people mess up. There's parts of you that you don't like. For example, I'm being so honest. I don't like that, and it's funny, no matter what I looked up, I looked up my astrological chart, looked up my zodiac sign, I looked up everything. And every single thing said that I have confidence and I'm a manipulator as fuck. And I'm being so honest on my own channel because I'm allowed to be, and people aren't honest on any day, and everybody has an agenda when they talk. I'm coming at you with the real hot spill, it's not like my girl doesn't know, but I am confident in myself, and I use that confidence with my supreme ability to manipulate. So when you finally get to that third level of enlightenment, you're like, I'm ashamed of myself, right? You get to the shame, like, man, I can't believe who I was. And I used to manipulate, and I used to do this, or it could have been whatever you leaned into to get through life, right? You could have leaned on your two-faced, like if you're a Gemini, you could have two-faced ability, how you switch up around anybody, right? I know people, those people who are able to switch up around everyone they get around. They can, I know people, it depends on whatever your ability is, but I know people who they can be a one-on-one with me, be the greatest person I've ever known. I'm like, Daniel, they're awesome. They get around another group of people. I'm like, how is he around those people? They're nothing like me, but they're able to blend in every group. See, when they hit that third level, they get ashamed of that ability. They're like, yeah, people are judging me because I'm able to do that, right? This is how you're thinking, oh, I'm ready. Because you're taking on the world's pain and thoughts and judgments and things. Because you're like, man, yeah, I don't know if I should do that because others are judging me. I should stay true to myself. But this is the problem. You stop doing that thing. You stop manipulating. You stop being confident in yourself. You stop going from room to room and blending in with every single person in there, or whatever your ability is. Or if your ability is to be the loudest in the room, right? Whatever your abilities are, right? You stop doing that. That's when you start to fall. That's when you start to crumble. You need that ability. And I think this is where people don't like to hear the truth. That's who you are. You use that ability to your fullest and you will be a freaking supreme ruler. Now that you know, like now that you tapped in, like now that you tapped into all your triggers and everything, now you know. Listen, I'm giving you keys to the game, and I don't know if I should be talking like this, but it's true. This is what supreme, people do. Once they are fully enlightened within themselves, everybody's a reflection of you in some way, right? Isn't that the truth? Everybody's a reflection of you. If you don't like somebody, it's because you don't like a certain part of yourself, right? So going by that logic, if you're that person, I have several friends or people I can think of all the top who can go in any room and they could all be totally different people. Nerd crowd, whatever. Businessy, lawyer crowd, boom. They'll talk to every single one of them and make them think that they're a part of that. Now that you know you're 100% self and what makes you tick, you know what others are ticking now. You know how others think. You know how others tick. You lean on that shit even harder to get what you want. And that's not in no evil way. I'm not talking about in the evil way of like you're stealing or da-da-da-da. I'm talking about just straight up like this is how you feel good about and feel empowered and love yourself. You're like, because it starts with you. That's why I said this is how you get out of your hopelessness. This is how you love yourself. You lean into all your ability. You lean into everything. You go, man, I love who I am. Because if you don't, you're not going to want those abilities anymore. You're going to fall off your game. And you guys are thinking, oh, Brandon, you sound scummy. Oh, yeah? That's why every musician listen, I'm about to give y'all facts and y'all about to be so mad. That's why every musician who always talks about F these women because they all cheating and lying and da-da-da-da, they make some of the best hurtful music. But the minute they get in a relationship and they don't make good music no more. They lost what made them them. That was you. That's why when the fat comedian loses weight, Jonah Hill, they're not funny no more. They're not even enjoyable to look at no more. Not to look at, but like what made them them isn't this, it's not even about growing. And it's not even about the weight. It's about using that edge. If his edge, for example, my edge is, man, I don't want to be, that whatever manipulator or whatever. But if you have to use it in certain scenarios, you use it to your full. You pull out all the fucking stunts. And you're like, damn, man, I got put me in a room with anybody. I tell my girls and she agrees. She's like, man, you talk your way out of anything. Put me in a room with 5 individuals and interviewing me, shit, I'll fucking smoke that shit. Jonah Hill lost his edge when his battle with food. Remember I said, his battle with food made him him. He needs the food to fuel his abilities. Without the food, no funny. I'm drinking on cam. Not drinking, like, got a little, a little Yurtamina. It's hot out. That's why. Walking out here. So, I hope what I'm saying makes sense. And you're wondering, like, how does this lean out of hopelessness? Because the only thing that's going to get you through to anything at the end of the day is you. If you don't love yourself and you don't love your entire self, you'll never be able to get through it. You need to incorporate your whole being into everything you're doing so that you guys can be on the same page. Your spirit can be funny. Your spirit can help you entertain yourself, get you through the shit. But when your absence of spirit, your life it's gonna be tough. No matter what relationship you're in, you're still, listen, I'm of the belief you can have the best friends, best family, but get this, those thoughts that you're having, those battles you're fighting mentally, that's all you. But you know who can help you? Spirit. Your spirit. But not if you're ashamed of those thoughts. You can't be ashamed of the thoughts. Shame is just pride. I'm dropping bars right now, man. Shame is really just pride. Which pride is a sin. Pride's a sin. Pride's a sin because I'm not going around saying I'm the best whatever the person, the fake two-faced person. I'm the best fake two-faced person ever. I can out-fake two-face everybody. Blah, blah, blah. That's pride. But just leaning into your abilities isn't pride. But being ashamed of your abilities, that's pride. That's shame. It's the opposite. That's why when you know you're in an argument and you're wrong and you was yelling and screaming for no reason, that's your pride kicking in because you don't want to be wrong. And then when you come down and you realize you're wrong, that's shame kicking in. Because why was I doing that? That's your shame. So, for example, last thing I'll say about that. I wanted to wrap up this video. That's like telling Jesus, yo, Jesus, don't turn that fish to water, that wine or water to wine because you're leaning into your abilities and, others are judging you for it. We kind of don't like how you lean into your abilities. You're prideful in doing that. That's what I'm all saying is. You need to lean into your abilities. There's so many real life examples. Think for yourself. You can think 100 of just leaning into them. It makes you who you are, but when we hate ourselves, so many people hate themselves. And that's where, when you're on that third level and you're in the middle of the ocean with a no life vest, you hate yourself. Because why the fuck did I put myself here? Why am I in the middle of the ocean drowning? I should have stayed on level 2. I hate that spirit shit. I don't like any of that stuff. That's how you think it. Nope, incorporate it. Start bringing that water. Start loving that environment. Start loving that you can drown any moment. Once you love it, I'm not on some 9 to 5, make $1 billion. I'm talking about just self-love in general. Once you really love yourself and you're not afraid of that water no more, you're not afraid that you can drown at any time. That's when you start thriving. That's when you don't have those thoughts anymore. That's when you can love yourself. That's when your spirit loves you. Because your spirit knows it's dangerous too. That's the thing. Your spirit has immense power, right? Your spirit can make you hate everybody. It can make you love everybody. It can make you fearful of the world. It can make you love the world. Because you know why? You're teetering on the edge. When you're teetering on the edge, you just don't know which way is up. You don't know which way is down. You don't know where to go. But if you can just incorporate it, love your spirit, love who your spirit has helped made you be, love yourself, tell yourself you love yourself. Knowing you can incorporate your spirit at any time, knowing you got this shit at any moment. And I'm talking about all avenues. I'm just talking about getting through this life in general. I'm not talking about no financial. Like, if you have that, that's great. But if you don't, you're winning just off the fact that you have self-love. The people at the very top hate themselves. Can't stand themselves. Because they had to neuter themselves. They had to neuter themselves to get where they were. Because people aren't okay with being organic. Because organic success, that's why you always know who's organic, right? Last thing I'll say. I don't know what this video will be. It's already 25 minutes. It is what it is. That's why you always know like that mom and pop who's organic success, right? They didn't sell out. They never sold out to the Walmarts, you know what I mean? They did that organic success. Everybody loves those people, right? Right? You know what I'm talking about. Those people who started that business. I'm just talking about in a sense of like in financial of like, this is my last point, is their level of success isn't the Walmarts. it's still success, right? They got a shop. They got a loving customer base. People who love them. People who, if they had to close because they're sick, people are like, damn, they sick? I hope they good, right? Like, who generally care about them? Or do you want to be the faceless, who owns the Walmart? Who gives a fuck if this Walmart shuts the fuck down, right? What level of success do you want for yourself? Do you want to be a great person? Everybody loves because you lean into who you are, and people love who you are because that's who you are. Or do you want to neuter yourself, be a shell of yourself, never have nothing, no finance? Because the finance isn't, you can't even have finance without relationships. What is the point of that's why we're stuck in this world right now. Or part of some of the symptoms is like people are like whole caught up on getting rich, right? And they got rich, neutering themselves, no relationships, no wife, no spouse, no friends. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do all that for? I don't know. What did you do it for? That's why we're seeing this rise of hopelessness, because, boomers bought everything up. Millennials are trying to fight for scraps, and they're all fighting each other for scraps. Zoomers realize that. Zoomers come in and they're like, if I'm not the top 1% at anything, then there's no point in doing anything, right? And that's why a lot of people always harp on Zoomers. I think they have some of the most awareness ever. They're like, damn, the housing markets can't get to buy a house. Can't be a pro athlete unless I'm in the top 1%. Unless I'm they realize the fields are changed now for them. For us millennials, we could kind of get by being middle of the pack. Zoomers got to be the top 1% of one to get these jobs now. And they realize that. But that's why I'm putting this video out, because not only do Zoomers, millennials like me, but leaning into who you are will separate you from everybody. And I'm talking about a place that wants you financially, relationship, socially wise, all those aspects of your avenue. They see an organic ass fucking human being, because that's rare nowadays. Oh, I want the organic person over that corporate ass soulless being, right? That's why some of the, and not all cases, but that's why some of the top corporate people, they don't know shit for shit, but they organic as fuck. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like that, because the non-organic being will be okay working that whatever, but the organic person is like really climbing their way up off of just basically social skills and leaning into their abilities. Now they're like the top in the, you know what I mean? It's whatever you want, guys. But I'll wrap it up. Love you. I think this is a great video. Hope you enjoyed. Love y'all. Be safe.